My wife said, "I'm at the office. Don't wait up," so I waited. Outside her second apartment. Watched her kiss him in the doorway. Same lips she used to tell me she loved me. I didn't scream. Didn't cry. I went home. Deleted our wedding photos. Changed the locks. But a week later, I found a key hidden in our closet. Not to our house. To the place she said didn't exist. And it still smelled like her perfume. My wife said she needed to start working late. Again, she kissed me on the forehead, grabbed her laptop bag, and walked out the door with that same soft smile she'd worn for 7 years. I didn't think twice, because I'm the kind of guy who believes people keep their promises. And 7 years ago, she promised to love me through everything: sickness, health, bills, stress, boring dinners, and forgotten anniversaries. I thought we were solid. Not perfect, but solid. We had game nights, Netflix queues, inside jokes about bad takeout. She hated cilantro. I hated olives. We made it work. So when she said work was getting crazy, that her boss was riding her hard for promotion metrics or whatever, I believed her. I brought her coffee on Sunday mornings, did the laundry when she forgot, and kissed her good night no matter how late she came home. Because that's what husbands do, right? You ride it out. You trust the person next to you. You don't assume they're lying. But now, looking back, I can pinpoint exactly when everything shifted. It was the night she came home after midnight. Hair done, makeup perfect, not a single yawn on her face. I asked how work was. She said, "Exhausting," and immediately went to shower. But her laptop bag was empty. I remember sitting there staring at it. Something about it just didn't sit right. But I brushed it off. Told myself, she's allowed to feel good. Maybe she just wanted to look nice for herself. That's what you do when you don't want to believe something darker. You give benefit of the doubt until the doubt breaks you. The second sign came a week later. She left her phone on the table while she was in the bathroom. And it buzzed. A message from someone saved as Andrea, work. It said, "Last night was perfect. Can't stop thinking about your mouth." I froze. My heart pounded in my ears. I stared at it like maybe I misread it. But when I unlocked her phone, I couldn't. She had changed the passcode. I confronted her. Nothing crazy. Just asked, "Who's Andrea from work?" She laughed, brushed it off, said Andrea was new. They were becoming friends. When I mentioned the message, her whole mood changed. She said, "Wow, you're checking my phone now." She turned it on me. Made me feel like a creep. And honestly, it worked. I apologized. Yeah, I apologized. I told myself I was being insecure, paranoid, stupid. Then came the Tuesday. She told me she had a late client meeting, probably wouldn't be home till after 10. I had a long day, didn't want to cook, so I figured, hey, why not surprise her with dinner? She always loved the Thai place near her office. I grabbed some takeout and drove across town. I parked in front of her building and waited. I waited 20 minutes. 30. 45. No sign of her. I walked up to the reception desk and asked if she was still in her suite. The receptionist looked at me and said, "Sir, we haven't seen her all day." And that was it. That was the moment something cracked inside me. I drove home in silence. Food untouched. Mind racing. She walked in around 10:15. Kissed me on the cheek like nothing happened. I asked how the meeting went. She said, "Long. I'm exhausted." And just like that, I knew. Something was wrong. Not, "We're growing apart" wrong. Not, "She's stressed and distant" wrong. Something else. Something bigger. Hidden. Intentional. The next morning, while she showered, I searched her purse for anything. Anything that might explain where she'd really been. And that's when I found it. A folded parking receipt. $8.50. Address listed, Westgate Residences. Not near her work. Not near anything. A totally different part of town. My hands were shaking. Because now, this wasn't just a hunch. This was something real. A footprint. And deep down, even though I didn't want to admit it, I had a feeling I had just found the first breadcrumb in a trail that was about to ruin my entire life. I stared at that crumpled parking receipt like it had answers. Like it might unfold into some perfectly logical explanation that would settle the war boiling in my chest. But it didn't. It just said, Westgate Residences. Paid, $8.50. 6:12 p.m. The exact time she told me she was heading into that late client meeting. I Googled it. Not an office building. Not a coffee shop. A mid-rise apartment complex. Gated. Quiet. In a part of town we had no reason to visit. And just like that, I knew. I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. I spent the entire day obsessing. My hands shook at work. I messed up a client email. I couldn't focus on anything except the way her voice had sounded so calm the night before. Like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't looked me in the eye and lied. That night, she came home with a grocery bag and a kiss. Told me she'd had another killer day. I played along. Smiled. Asked questions. And every answer she gave added another log to the fire inside me. After dinner, she showered. I checked her purse again. Nothing. Her phone was still locked, and I didn't have the courage to ask. So instead, I waited. The next time she said she had a late meeting, I told her I had one too. First time in months, she didn't question me. She smiled and said, "Guess we're both moving up." We left the house together. She turned left. I turned right, then circled back. Followed her from 2 cars behind. I felt like some desperate amateur PI, heart pounding, palms sweaty, headlights off. She drove 20 minutes across town and parked outside Westgate Residences. Just like the receipt said. I pulled over half a block away and killed the engine. Watched her get out. She looked beautiful. Makeup perfect. Hair curled. Heels clicking on pavement. She walked up to the main entrance and used a key fob to get in. No buzz-in. No visitor sign-in. A fob, meaning she lived there, or someone gave her access. I sat in my car for what felt like hours, waiting, hoping I was wrong, hoping she'd come back out, see me, laugh, and say she was just dropping something off for a friend. But she didn't come back out. Instead, at exactly 9:47 p.m., a man walked out. Not just any guy. This wasn't some sketchy hookup or fling. He was clean-cut, tall, maybe early 40s, sharp suit, expensive shoes, car keys in hand, and the kind of smile that told me he wasn't hiding anything. He looked comfortable, like he belonged. And suddenly it clicked. She wasn't just cheating. She wasn't just sneaking around. She was living another life. My stomach turned. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to scream. But instead, I just sat there, frozen, watching him get in a black Audi and drive off. I memorized the plate number without realizing it. She didn't come home until after 11. Same kiss. Same fake exhaustion. Same lie about work stuff. I nodded, smiled, said, "You're working so hard lately. I'm proud of you." She kissed me again, and I could smell cologne that wasn't mine. That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. I just laid there, replaying every moment from the past year. Every late night. Every cold dinner. Every vague answer. And I kept asking myself the same question. How long had I been living with a stranger? The next morning, while she was in the shower, I wrote down the man's license plate number and ran it through a buddy who worked DMV enforcement. Not entirely legal, but desperation is a hell of a motivator. 3 hours later, I got the name. Nathan R. Calloway. Age 42. Attorney. Not a coworker. Not someone from her job. Not anyone she'd ever mentioned. And definitely not single. His social media said he was married. Had 2 kids. Which meant one thing. My wife wasn't just sneaking around. She was part of something even bigger. An entire web of lies. A shadow life built on false names, stolen time, and empty promises. And somehow, every day, she still smiled at me like she hadn't torn my heart out and buried it somewhere inside that apartment I wasn't supposed to know about. But I knew now. And I wasn't just going to sit back and let it unravel me. I had to see what was inside. I knew. I knew what she was doing, where she was going, who she was with. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. Because the moment I showed my cards, it would all disappear. She'd go underground. Delete everything. Change passwords. Shut me out. So I stayed silent. Played dumb. And became something I never thought I'd be. A man who watched the woman he loved betray him in real time. I started keeping a notebook. Dates. Times. What she wore. When she left. When she came back. Who she texted. And how often. It wasn't paranoia anymore. It was proof. She visited that apartment 3 times in 1 week. Always after work. Always dressed like she was going on a date. And each time, she stayed for exactly 3 hours. I parked in different spots, used sunglasses, even walked by the building once just to feel the energy of the place. Quiet. Upscale. A life I wasn't part of. I noticed something strange the second time I passed by. The name on the tenant buzzer list. N. Calloway and S. Jordan. That was her maiden name. She wasn't just visiting that apartment. She was on the lease. It felt like I'd been punched in the lungs. She was building a home with another man, while still sleeping in my bed. That night, I sat across from her at dinner, nodding while she told me about her new boss and how exhausting back-to-back meetings had been. She chewed her pasta like everything was fine, smiled at me, asked if I could take the trash out. I did, because I needed her to believe I still believed her. Meanwhile, my brain was spinning. I needed inside that apartment. I had to know what they had in there, what kind of life they were building behind my back. So I waited. 3 days later, she texted me around 4 p.m. Working late. Don't wait up. Love you. I watched her leave the house wearing a dress I hadn't seen in months. The kind she used to wear on our anniversary. I followed again. Waited until she went inside. This time, I didn't stay in the car. I waited 20 minutes. Then walked straight up to the entrance. Waited for someone to come out. An old man with a bag of groceries. I caught the door. Nodded politely. I was in. My heart was racing like I was committing a felony. Because maybe I was. But betrayal has a way of rewriting your moral code. I found their unit on the 4th floor. Stood outside the door. Heard music, jazz. The faint sound of her laugh. Her real laugh. The one she didn't use around me anymore. I didn't knock. I didn't bang. I just stood there, listening, freezing in place, because hearing it was worse than seeing it. I left, ran down the stairwell, could barely breathe. And when I got back to my car, I broke down. The kind of crying that doesn't come with sound. Just shaking. Silent. Ugly. But I wasn't done. I spent the next 2 days going through our shared accounts. She'd been hiding money. Slow transfers from our joint savings to a private checking account. Thousands. Then I checked the credit card she insisted we keep for emergencies. She'd used it to pay the deposit on the apartment. My money. My name. Their home. I took screenshots. Every transaction. Every date. Then I dug deeper. I logged into our shared cloud photo album. She rarely used it anymore. But 2 weeks ago, she must have forgotten. There were pictures. From inside that apartment. Candles. Wine glasses. Her in his shirt. Her kissing him on the cheek, standing in a kitchen I'd never seen. A kitchen I paid for. And one picture that nearly made me throw my laptop across the room. Him holding a key in one hand, and her in the other. Captioned, "Our real life starts now." Not a fling. Not a mistake. A replacement. He wasn't some one-night secret. He was the plan. She was going to leave me eventually, but only after bleeding me dry. And that's when I knew. This wasn't just infidelity. It was a setup. And if she was planning to ruin my life behind my back, she had no idea what I was about to do behind hers. I almost convinced myself it was still salvageable. I know that sounds insane, but when you love someone that deep, that hard, you bargain with reality. You shrink the truth until it fits into something less horrifying. You tell yourself, maybe it's a phase. Maybe she's confused. Maybe if I say the right words, do the right thing, she'll come back. But then she looked me in the eye and lied so easily. I wondered if she'd ever told the truth at all. "You've been quiet lately," she said, pouring wine into the glass I bought for our 3rd anniversary. "Everything okay at work?" I wanted to scream. Instead, I smiled. "Just tired." She leaned in and touched my face. "Don't burn yourself out, babe. We need you." We. What a joke. There was no we. Not anymore. That night, I asked her, casually, if she'd been by the West Side lately. Her eyes didn't even twitch. "Not for months." "What?" I shrugged. "Just passed by that coffee place we used to like. Made me think of you." "Ah, that's sweet," she said, sipping her wine. That's when it hit me. She was better at lying than I'd ever be at catching her. And yet, I kept collecting everything. Screenshots. Receipts. Even security footage from the building lobby, thanks to a favor from a friend in private security. It was all adding up. But still, I didn't make a move. Because every predator waits. They don't pounce. They stalk. And when the prey is relaxed, unaware, that's when they strike. So I kept playing the loyal husband. But something changed. She started to get sloppy. One night, she came home with a hickey half covered by foundation. Another night, she left her email open on the tablet. I didn't even have to snoop. The messages were just there. Open. Mocking. "Last night was magic. She'll never know. Soon, it'll just be you and me. And I can't wait to burn it all down. Tired of pretending. Tired of his face. Her. His face. Me. The man who paid for her car, her schooling, her wedding ring. And they wanted to burn it all down. But I let her keep talking. Keep texting. Keep hanging herself with her own rope. Until one day she told me she needed to go away for a work retreat. 3 nights. No cell service. Total isolation. Perfect. Of course, I said. You deserve it. Recharge. Come back better. She hugged me so tight, I almost threw up. She left on a Friday, but didn't know that I knew she wasn't going on a retreat. She was staying at the apartment the whole time. With him. While she was gone, I did the unthinkable. I printed every email, every receipt, every lease agreement. I copied her texts, downloaded the security footage, even took a picture of the toothbrush she left at his place. And then, I emptied the joint account. All of it. $27,462.19. Gone. Into a private account under my name only. Then I canceled the lease on her car. My name was on it. Then I changed the locks. I did it all in 48 hours. Silent. Clean. Cold. On Sunday, I got a call from her. "Hey baby, just checking in. Reception's terrible here. I miss you." I smiled into the phone. "I miss you too. Enjoy your retreat." I hung up. That night, I packed up all her clothes, all her shoes, her handbags, every little memory of her, into boxes, and left them outside in the rain. I didn't cry. Not once. Monday morning, she came back. Her retreat bag slung over her shoulder. Wearing a hoodie I knew wasn't mine. She tried to open the front door. Locked. She tried her key. Didn't fit. I watched from across the street as she knocked. Then banged. Then screamed. And that's when I walked up. Calm. Collected. Divorce papers in one hand. and a USB in the other. She went pale. Her mouth opened. No words came out. You should have picked someone dumber, I said. But now you get to burn it all down alone. And I turned. Walked away. Didn't look back. But what I didn't expect, what still chills me to this day, was what I found inside that apartment the next week. When the building manager finally let me in. Something so twisted, so personal. It changed everything. I thought I was ready. I'd seen the photos, read the texts, felt the full weight of betrayal. But nothing prepared me for what I'd find inside their apartment. The place I was never meant to enter. The place they built on my back. The building manager gave me 15 minutes. Technically, she's on the lease, he said, glancing at the name S. Jordan. But so are you, through the emergency contact list. We don't like drama here. Be quick. Drama. What a word for the bomb she dropped on my life. The hallway was sterile. The kind that smells like fresh paint and fake peace. But as soon as I stepped into their apartment, the mask cracked. The first thing that hit me wasn't a sight. It was a smell. Our old candles. Amber smoke. The ones I bought her every birthday, now burning in his sanctuary. My scent. In their space. The apartment was perfectly curated. 2 wine glasses still on the counter. A Polaroid pinned to the fridge with a magnet from a cabin we never visited. They'd gone together. The same week she told me she was working late on the quarterly. But that wasn't what broke me. Not the photo. Not even the wine glasses. It was the bulletin board above the desk in the corner. It looked like something from a detective movie. Maps, calendars, photos, post-it notes. At first glance, it was just travel planning, vacation spots, maybe a wedding venue. But when I got closer, the details snapped into focus. It was me. They were watching me. A printed schedule. M leaves for work 7:15 a.m. Gym 5 to 6 p.m. Groceries Thursdays. Photos of my car at different places. Notes about my moods. Seems suspicious. Canceled guys' night. Double check cloud folder access. They were tracking me. I stood there frozen. Betrayal didn't even cover it anymore. This was strategy. A blueprint for destruction. There was even a timeline. Phase 1. Secure apartment, complete. Phase 2. Drain accounts, in progress. Phase 3. Emotional separation, 3 weeks left. Phase 4. Exit marriage clean, TBD. I wanted to vomit. Cry. Scream. But all I did was take out my phone and record every inch of that board. I had proof now. Not just of cheating, but of premeditated betrayal. But then something caught my eye on the floor. A notebook tucked half under the couch. Her handwriting. Personal. Loose. More chaotic than the bulletin board. I opened it. Page after page of rambling thoughts. Some about him, but most about me. He doesn't see me anymore. He breathes near me, but never with me. I wish he would scream or hit or break. But all he does is love me. And I hate that. I feel like I'm drowning in loyalty I never asked for. If he knew what I've done, he'd collapse. But he deserves to collapse. He made me invisible for too long. I sat on their couch. Her couch. And I just read. Until my eyes hurt. It wasn't just cheating. It was resentment. Loathing. A desire to see me ruined. Not because I was cruel, but because I was too kind. Too steady. Too reliable. The rock she wanted to throw through her own window. I closed the notebook. Left it exactly where I found it. The building manager knocked. You good, man? I nodded. But I wasn't. On the way out, I snapped a picture of the framed quote on their wall. What you run from follows you. I smiled. Because now I knew what came next. Not a confrontation. Not a fight. A dismantling. Quiet. Legal. Devastating. She wanted to burn me down from the inside. Fine. I was going to let her watch me rebuild. Without her, without pain, and without mercy. But before I walked away for good, I did one final thing. I left her wedding ring, the one she hadn't worn in months, right on the kitchen counter, next to her wine glass, with a note. Phase 5 begins now. She showed up at my door 3 days later. Hair still damp from a rushed shower. Mascara a little smudged. Wearing my hoodie. The one she took by accident, but never gave back. She looked like a storm trying to act like a drizzle. Can we talk? She asked. I leaned against the doorframe. Silent. Calculating. She blinked. Eyes darting behind me like she expected to see someone else. Someone who'd replaced her. I didn't invite her in. I just crossed my arms and said, talk. And the floodgates opened. I made a mistake, she said. I didn't mean for it to get that far. It was just the tension. Someone noticing me. I didn't realize how much I was breaking you. I laughed. A hollow thing. Because she still didn't get it. You didn't break me, I said. You underestimated me. That's not the same thing. She paused. Swallowed hard. I miss us. Us. The word hit different now. Us was built on my effort, my time, my blind loyalty. She just coasted. And now the ride was over. You missed the version of me who didn't know, I said. The one who smiled while you lied. Who paid the rent for your second life. She flinched. I watched it happen. Watched the realization settle on her face like frostbite. I ended it with him, she said quickly. He was using me. It meant nothing. But you meant to hurt me. I cut in. Don't act like you tripped into betrayal. You wrote it down. Made plans. Drew a map. Don't insult me by pretending it was an accident. That was when she broke. The tears started. The real kind. She sank down on my front steps, gripping the hem of my hoodie like it could take her back in time. I don't know who I am without you, she whispered. And that's when it clicked. That's all I ever was to her. A mirror. Not a partner. Just a reflection to keep her from seeing her own emptiness. I knelt beside her, looked her in the eyes, and said it softly, so gently it almost sounded like forgiveness. Then it's time you find out. I stood up, went inside, and locked the door. She screamed, cried, begged, but it was already done. Divorce filed. Joint accounts closed. Her name stripped from every legal thread that connected us. And then I did something truly cruel. I lived well. I posted pictures, smiling with friends, at concerts, traveling, laughing like I hadn't in years. She messaged me, seen, not replied, and then it turned. From regret to rage. She sent long messages about how I was cold, how I gave up too fast, how I ruined everything with pride. But the truth? I never gave up. I gave her every chance. She just sold them off one by one. And now she couldn't afford me anymore. And just when I thought it was over, just when I started to breathe freely again, I got a letter. No return address. Just my name in her handwriting. I almost didn't open it. But curiosity is cruel like that. Inside was a single photograph, taken from behind, of me, walking into a building. On the back, one sentence in red ink. You're not the only one who knows how to watch. I held that photograph for an hour, just staring at it. The grainy edges. The shadow of my own body walking into a building I recognized but didn't remember. The handwriting on the back was hers. I'd know that Lupi are anywhere. But the message, you're not the only one who knows how to watch, wasn't just petty revenge. It was a threat, and it worked, because it meant one terrifying thing. She wasn't done with me. I checked my windows. Every camera. Went over the footage again. Nothing. I even asked the security company to review the motion alerts from the past 2 weeks. They found nothing unusual, except one short-lived attempt to access the system with a wrong password. From her old laptop. I'd thought I'd cut her out of everything. But some ghosts linger in the code. In the air. In the walls. So I started digging again. But not into her life, into mine. What was that building in the photo? I zoomed in. There was a red awning just above the doorway. And then it hit me. The fertility clinic. The one we visited 2 years ago. When she said we were ready for the next step. When we spent 6 months trying. When she cried in my arms after every negative test. And now, I was looking at a photo of myself entering that clinic. Alone. But I was never alone. She always went with me. Or so I thought. I checked the date stamp in the photo's metadata. It was 3 weeks before she said she was going to stop trying. Right before she started pulling away emotionally. The day I thought we were still building a family. She was already erasing me from her future. I called the clinic. Hi, this is Mark Jordan. I visited your office in June of last year. I need to check something. The receptionist was sweet. Yes, Mr. Jordan, you came in for a full panel. You were listed as a solo client at the time. Solo? Yes. There was no co-applicant or spouse on the records for that appointment. My hands went cold. Was anyone else listed later? Silence. Then typing. Yes. In fact, shortly after your visit, a new file was created for a Samantha Jordan. She submitted paperwork, but under a different partner. A different what? A different male partner. Name of Nolan Price. Him. The other man. She was never trying to get pregnant with me. She was testing compatibility with him. While I sat in that lobby, hopeful and terrified, she had already started building a future with someone else's DNA. And the final twist? I looked deeper into that fertility clinic file. With some help from a friend in healthcare compliance. She hadn't just submitted a partner profile. She'd frozen embryos. With him. And listed me. As an anonymous emergency contact. Not because she cared. But because if anything went wrong, she knew I'd still come running. She kept me tied to her future. As a failsafe. An invisible insurance policy. It was the most brilliant kind of evil. The kind that hides behind red wine smiles and late-night cuddles. The kind that says, I love you, while looking at someone else across the room. And here's the worst part. She sent that photograph. Because she knew it would unravel everything. Not to win me back. Not even to scare me. But to make me obsessed again. To make me feel small again. To make me look back. So she could stay one step ahead. But not this time. I didn't confront her. Didn't reply. Instead, I sent one letter. No return address. Just her name on the envelope. Inside, a copy of her clinic file. The payment receipts. The photos. And one sticky note in my handwriting. You've always been good at lying. But I'm better at endings. Then I walked away. Blocked every number. Moved cities. Changed jobs. Started over. Not to run, but to stop playing a game I never agreed to join. And when people ask why I don't talk about her, I just say, some people aren't storms. They're shadows. And you don't fight shadows. You walk out of the dark.